Welcome back to Artificial Evidence, the podcast where the smallest details lead to the biggest revelations. I am your host, Owen Carver, and today's story takes us to the quiet highways of eastern Oregon. It is the kind of place where the road stretches for miles in every direction, where gas stations and diners sit abandoned along the edges of forgotten exits, and where a wrong turn can mean hours without seeing another living soul. On the night of September 15, 2013, a long-haul trucker named Dale Higgins made a routine stop at a rest area just off us, Highway 20. He stepped inside to use the bathroom, stretch his legs, and grab a cup of coffee from the vending machine. He never made it back to his truck. What followed was a baffling mystery, one that left investigators with more questions than answers, a strange crime scene, and an unsettling realization that someone, somewhere, knew exactly what had happened to Dale Higgins. This is The Last Stop. It was just past midnight when Dale Higgins pulled his 18-wheeler into the remote rest stop outside Burns, Oregon. A veteran truck driver with nearly 3 decades on the road, Dale was not the type to take unnecessary risks. He followed his route, logged his hours, and made his stops on schedule. The rest area was a familiar one, just a basic pull-off with a handful of parking spaces, a few vending machines, and a dimly lit bathroom facility. He had been there dozens of times before. Security cameras from a nearby gas station caught his truck pulling in at 12:13 a.m. By all accounts, it should have been a routine stop, but by the time another trucker arrived just 40 minutes later, Dale Higgins was nowhere to be found. His rig was still parked where he left it, engine idling, headlights still shining onto the cracked pavement. The driver's side door was open. A half-drunk bottle of Diet Pepsi sat in the cup holder. The only sign of Dale was his wallet, lying face down on the ground next to the truck. The cash inside was untouched. The first call to police came at 1:14 a.m. Local officers arrived within the hour, expecting to find a case of a driver who had simply wandered off, maybe to take a nap or stretch his legs. But as they began their search, the situation quickly became more complicated. Inside the rest stop bathroom, officers found something unusual. The farthest store was locked from the inside, but when they forced it open, they found a single black work boot placed neatly against the wall. It was Dale's. On the sink, a smear of blood no larger than a thumbprint. Not enough to suggest a violent struggle, but enough to suggest something had gone wrong. The vending machine, the same one Dale had planned to grab coffee from, had been broken into, the glass was cracked, and a handful of snack bags and loose change were scattered on the ground. At first, investigators considered the possibility of a robbery gone wrong. Maybe Dale had walked in on someone trying to break into the machine and had been attacked. But if that were the case, why was his wallet still full of cash? And why would a thief take a man but leave behind his truck, his money, and even his phone, which was still sitting on the dashboard, displaying an unfinished text message that read, "Almost to Burns, stopping real quick." The message had never been sent. Over the next 24 hours, search teams combed the surrounding desert, looking for any sign of Dale. Cadaver dogs were brought in, helicopters scanned the landscape, officers checked nearby truck stops, gas stations, and motels. Nothing. Theories began circulating. One idea was that Dale had been the victim of a random act of violence. A drifter, someone hitchhiking along the highway, might have crossed paths with him at the wrong moment. Another possibility was that Dale had suffered a medical emergency, wandered away from the rest stop in a confused state, and succumbed to the elements. But if that were true, where was his body? And why had the scene at the rest stop felt so deliberate? The boot in the stall, the vending machine, the unfinished text, none of it made sense. Then, 3 days later, a jogger on a back road near Riley, Oregon, found something chilling. Lying just off the gravel shoulder, partially obscured by sagebrush, was a neatly folded piece of paper. It was a receipt, time-stamped at 12:26 a.m. on September 15th. Less than 15 minutes after Dale was last seen. It was from a truck stop nearly 60 miles away, and printed at the bottom, in clear black ink, was Dale Higgins' name. It was his credit card. The receipt changed everything. If Dale had been abducted or harmed at the rest stop, how had his credit card been used so far away, and so soon after? Investigators pulled security footage from the truck stop. The timestamp on the receipt matched exactly with a man purchasing a pack of cigarettes, a bottle of water, and a roll of duct tape. But the man in the footage was not Dale. He was taller, leaner, dressed in a hooded sweatshirt, with the hood pulled up just enough to obscure his face from the camera. And though his features were never clearly captured, one detail stood out. As he turned to leave, he lifted his left foot slightly off the ground, revealing a black work boot identical to the one found at the rest stop bathroom. In the months that followed, Dale Higgins was officially declared missing. His case remains open to this day. No other sightings of the man in the footage were ever confirmed. The only solid piece of evidence, the receipt, led investigators nowhere. Dale Higgins, a seasoned trucker with a reputation for reliability, had vanished in the span of less than an hour. Theories continued to emerge. Some believed he had been taken by someone familiar with long-haul routes, someone who knew how to slip in and out of rest stops without being seen. Others speculated he had become the victim of an opportunistic crime, someone lurking in the darkness, waiting for the next unsuspecting traveler to step into the wrong place at the wrong time. But there was one final detail that still haunts investigators. 2 weeks before his disappearance, Dale had told his wife about a strange experience at another rest stop along the same highway. He had stepped inside to use the restroom, and when he came out, he had noticed a man sitting on a nearby bench, staring at his truck. The man had not spoken, had not moved, just watched. Dale had brushed it off. But now, looking back, some wonder if the man he saw that night was the same one captured on security footage 2 weeks later. And if so, had Dale Higgins been marked long before he ever reached his final stop? Thank you for listening to Artificial Evidence. If you have thoughts or theories, let us know on social media. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. And remember, the algorithm knows.